the greatest mystery of modern times.
They range from small circles or patterns tens of feet across to up to a mile across.
Crop circles, strange designs in flattened wheat, corn, or barley, puzzling symbols in an otherwise silent landscape. They appear overnight without a witness or a sound.
All the evidence we have so far does suggest that crop circles form in a matter of seconds, usually also at around 4 o'clock in the morning.
Science, too, searches for an answer.
Very few are man-made, probably less than 1%.
Are they created by pranksters, or, as some insist, by a force from beyond the stars, or even beyond the grave?
I've always equated it to walking into a cathedral, into a spiritual center of some kind.
But who or what is the real circle maker?
As soon as people hear that you're interested in crop circles, they always say, well, what is it then? What's making them? And of course, that's the one question you can't answer.
The greatest crop circle mystery, who creates the crop circles.
From rural America to the silent mystery of Stonehenge, we follow the circles in search of a sign. Pilot Kevin Bowe steers his crop duster into the endless North Dakota sky. It's a routine flight directly over farmer Randy Beta's wheat fields. But a few summers ago, this flight was anything but routine. Kevin Bowe was about to make a discovery that would change the small town of Langdon forever. This home video shot from Kevin's plane reveals an almost inconceivable sight. A huge crop circle is etched into the fields.
You see that? You know what that is? Never seen anything like that before.
Kevin circled back for another look. He had to strain to see against the bright July sun. Now, Kevin can plainly make out a weird design, hundreds of feet long, slicing through the wheat.
Well, when we saw them, we were kind of confused until we figured out what they were, and kind of amazed that they were around here.
The crop circle is 2/3 the size of a football field. An inexplicable pattern of 4 circles and parallel lines leads to a symbol shaped like the letter F. To some, it looks like a giant tinker toy, but others fear the unexplained markings are an ominous sign. From his seat in the sky, the young pilot is the first person to discover the Langdon crop circle. But back on the ground, even Kevin's father doesn't believe his son's story.
I'm a crop duster, and I said, the animals, the moose and the deer are laying out in the field, and they're making circles. And he said, no, Dad. He said, these aren't made by animals. He said, it's something different.
Randy Beta's family had farmed these fields for over 100 years when the crop circle appeared.
I was amazed. I didn't know what to think of the crop circle for sure. I mean, didn't know if it was a prank or if it was for real, or even to this day, I don't know for sure.
Langdon's population is right around between 2,500 and 2,700 people. In a small town like Langdon, when somebody does something, anything, word gets around very fast.
But no one in this close-knit town, just a few miles from the Canadian border, steps forward to claim the crop circle. Not even when another circle appears just a few miles away. A circle 90 feet in diameter cuts through to another smaller ring. It's the second crop circle in just 4 days. The puzzling design is 155 feet long. Farmer Bob Elliott was startled to find the formation when he was inspecting his crop. Stepping back, he began to make out the unexpected shapes. He didn't know yet the circles would transform his life.
My impression it was that it was a prankster, some kind of a prank. But when I walked up into the area and found out that it just looked like too much effort for someone to make circles of this nature here.
It was an elliptical shaped circle, and it was perfect, and all of the wheat was interwoven, which was something that, it was obvious to see that whatever created the crop circle obviously was done with a lot of, intricacy. It took a lot of time to do it.
But North Dakota summer nights are short. Working by moonlight isn't easy, and neither is disappearing without a trace.
The sheriff insisted that we would find prints because the ground was loose and dusty. And we noticed as we were walking through the field, we were both leaving a set of footprints. We were unable to find any footprints whatsoever.
When amateur crop circle researcher Stace Tussle heard about the North Dakota circles, she drove 1,000 miles from Denver to Langdon.
The Langdon crop circles had something that drove me to want to come here, something that told me that the crop circles were going to be worth the drive. I rented a car and I made it up here in 17 hours. I walked right across the boundary and into the crop circle, and immediately it was like, wow. I don't have any doubt that these were real formations, that they were genuine. In other words, they weren't created by people.
Before that strange summer in Langdon is over, a third crop circle will be found, but not a crop circle maker. What astounds the no-nonsense farmers here is that the three formations, seen from the air, form a perfectly straight line. How could pranksters, working randomly between roads and fields, line up these circles, situated miles apart, like points on a line? It's as if the circles were intentionally positioned from above. That makes everyone wonder, are these crop circles a sign?
What surprised me, I guess, was there was a certain feeling that went through me that it wasn't human nature. It was just something that appeared to be extraterrestrial, you may say, or something out of humans' hands.
Wherever they appear around the globe, crop circles are unsettling, unclaimed creations, made in secret, at night, with no observers. Those who find them can't help but wonder, is there a message for us in the strange designs?
The most basic form of crop circle is a swirled marking, circular, as the name suggests. And sometimes the crop is swept down in an anti-clockwise way or a clockwise way, sometimes radially, sometimes a combination of all these things.
The crop circles may seem simple at first, but look carefully. There are hidden geometries. A plain two-dimensional rendering is really a three-dimensional cube. And this triangular shape reveals 6 hidden cubes. This snowflake contains precise mathematical curves. The golden mean, a classic proportion found in nature, figures in many crop circle designs. But so do complex geometric patterns, like fractals, and the repeating spheres that make up this spectacular pattern.
You're looking here at 700 individual circles, some as large as 75 feet, many of them 75 feet in diameter. I mean, simply the human resource required to make them, let alone lay them out with preciseness, without a single error, over an area of 650,000 square feet, pushes the man-made theory to the extreme.
What began as simple circles have grown increasingly complex. An eclipse moves through this field. The sun appears to rise above a pyramid in this field. And this eerie formation, a human face, appeared next to an observatory in England. In the same field at the same time, an unusual rectangular formation with a DNA sequence and human forms.
It could well be some kind of extraterrestrial force or mind, aliens, call them what you will, which is trying to reach out to mankind in such a way as to not create panic.
Each new circle brings new possibilities for interpretation and investigation. The North Dakota farmers aren't the only ones baffled by the strange appearance of crop circles. They appear with intense frequency in southern England, but also in Canada, Russia, in rice paddies in Japan, and in crops all over the US. But their birthplace may be at the site of one of the world's greatest mysteries, Stonehenge. Coming up, could this 4,000-year-old stone circle hold the key to the modern crop circle mystery? And scientists discover astonishing new evidence from deep inside the wheat. Stonehenge, southern England. The sun rises and sets over this prehistoric monument as it has for nearly 5,000 years. The meaning of this ancient stone circle has never been deciphered. But the brooding old stones here have new companions in the fields. An estimated 90% of the world's crop circles appear within a 40-mile radius of Stonehenge in Wiltshire County, England.
In Wiltshire County, we have one of the greatest concentrations of ancient sacred sites in Britain.
Jude Stammers holds a master's degree in astrophysics from Oxford University. She studies these puzzling sites for her doctoral work in cognitive archaeology.
I'm trying to understand how the ancients created sacred sites and for what purposes. And since we see crop circles as contemporary sacred spaces, that's where the connection is.
Crop circles, like temporary temples, share the land here with permanent shrines. Strange and silent Silbury Hill, an ancient burial mound constructed at the time of the pyramids. The enigma of Stonehenge. And the even more puzzling stone circle at Avebury.
This is Avebury Stone Circle, a 4,500-year-old circle, one of the largest we've ever discovered.
Massive boulders were transported for miles to this mysterious place by unknown builders who used them to make circles.
Originally, archaeologists believed that there were 99 great sarsen stones about this size running all around the perimeter. But that wasn't the whole story of Avebury Henge, because not only that, but within the great circle, there were two other inner circles, each of diameter of about 300 feet.
The 40-ton stones hauled into place by ancient druids may be astronomical guides or calendars. It's believed sacred ceremonies of worship were held here for centuries. But no one really knows what drove the ancients to build monumental circles in this tiny corner of Britain. Each year, visitors flock to Wiltshire, looking for clues to the age-old riddle of the stone circles. And side by side in the fields, a new mystery, posed by the crop circles, begs for an answer. Is there a connection between the circles in the fields and the circles of stone?
My own perception is yes, there is. My belief is that the ancients created sacred sites very purposefully, understanding the interconnection of energies within them and their own place in the universe. And my sense is that crop circles are helping us to rediscover that connection.
One thing is certain. Scores of crop circles have appeared at the feet of these puzzling prehistoric monuments. Sometimes one or two a night. As many as 200 in one summer. Some crop formations even incorporate the ancient monuments into their design, like this formation with a mysterious burial mound at its center. Thousands marveled at this crop circle, which startled tourists near the busy road to Stonehenge. Author and researcher Andy Thomas has chronicled the crop circles here for a dozen years.
Even without the crop circles, there's something very magical about this whole area, but something about it attracts crop circles to appear out there in the fields.
Well-known crop circle investigator Colin Andrews grew up near Stonehenge. He's convinced the circles are here for a reason.
If you look, of course, at the design, the layout, the construction of those archaeological sites, like Stonehenge and Avebury, Silbury Hill, these are not only the same patterns as the crop circles that are appearing alongside them, we're looking at very, very similar ratios, mathematical relationships.
The geometry of the designs may offer clues, but some think a more fundamental geology plays a role in this surprising landscape.
Some people have wondered why it is that some places get many more crop circles than others. And one possible answer to this may be geology, because when you look at the rock strata, which underlies where we've had most of the crop formations, you discover that there's a connection with underground water.
Some believe an energy field runs through this part of southern England, along so-called ley lines.
Ley lines are a subtle grid of energy that has to do with electromagnetic fields of the Earth. It is directly related to electromagnetism that's emanating from the sun and interacting with solar activity. Ley lines are subtle lines of Earth energy that the ancient people were very aware of.
A single ley line is said to connect numerous churches and sacred sites in England, including the puzzling stone circles at Avebury. The alignment of sacred sites along a straight line was first noticed by a businessman in 1925. He suggested the ley lines followed a prehistoric trade route. Though there's no evidence to prove it, others say the lines mirrored the yearly path of the sun, or even ancient compass points devised by the Chinese. It was near these unproven ley lines that the first accounts of crop circles were recorded some 300 years ago. Then, as now, explanations for crop circles ranged from scientific to superstitious. In 1678, in this pamphlet published in Hertfordshire, the devil himself is depicted cutting a crop circle. According to the pamphlet, Lucifer stepped into the fields after a farmer hired a man to cut down his crop. The men argued, and the farmer swore he'd rather have the devil take his crop than pay the mower's price. That night, a strange orange light lit the fields, and it said the devil hacked down the crop. Another woodcut from a centuries-old book of English ballads depicts a strange harvest festival in which peasants danced in what might have been a crop circle, led by a supernatural horned creature. In 1686, a similar story was directly linked with crop circles by a professor at Oxford University, Robert Plott. It is said in the year of our Lord 1590, men and women, some with cloven hooves, were witnessed dancing round and round in the corn with a spirit in their midst. The spirit, often called Robin Goodfellow, was a mythical goblin-like figure, half man, half bull, known for leading good citizens astray. But Professor Plott, a famed natural historian, wasn't satisfied with superstitious explanations. The Oxford scientists finally concluded the few crop circles in Staffordshire had been caused by lightning. By 1880, imaginary forces gave way to a force of nature when an amateur scientist developed a new theory about odd circles discovered in his neighbor's wheat field. Published in the British journal Nature, the writer concluded the circles must have been formed by wild winds. But none of these explanations really satisfied. Crop circles would remain an occasional oddity until 20th century observers took flight. Coming up next, unexplained flying objects. Balls of light are caught hovering over the fields. Are they a signal from the real crop circle maker? In 1983, a British government engineer named Colin Andrews did a double take after driving by a wheat field near Stonehenge.
There was this arrangement of 5 circles forming a cross. Whatever or however these circles appeared there, they appear to have arrived together as an extraordinary pattern. Maybe it touched some spiritual place in me because it was a cross.
A Celtic cross, a traditional symbol dating back to 8th century Ireland, was stamped into the wheat field. The crop formation, one center circle with 4 satellite circles around it, matched the design of the Celtic or ringed cross. Andrews immediately suspected someone had made the design, but on closer look, Andrews says he found no footprints in the field except his own. Even stranger, the wheat stalks weren't broken, as if they'd been stepped on by someone in the field.
And once they're broken, they're broken. There's nothing you can do about that.
Instead, the stalks of wheat were bent over at right angles, as if they'd been steamed into place. The plants, though now lying flat on the ground, showed no signs that weight had been applied.
This fascinated me. This fired me up.
Andrews, along with former NASA technician Pat Delgado and pilot Busty Taylor, began documenting crop circles and taking aerial photos. By 1989, hundreds of crop circles had been counted by Andrews' team and others. Everyone knew the crop circles appeared overnight, but farmers reported no nighttime activity in their fields, at least no human activity. But balls of light, luminous, unidentified flying objects, were reported hovering near the crop circle fields. In 1990, photographer Stephen Alexander unexpectedly captured the mysterious lights on tape in daylight.
Got it?
Yeah. Where's it going?
Going up.
This single ball of light was recorded from a great distance away. Then, in 1999, another cameraman shot an even clearer image over a crop circle at Barbary Castle, England.
I can't think what that is. Can you see it moving across? No. Where the camera's pointing?
As cameraman Don Fletcher tried to steady his camera, the white ball of light hovered over a large crop formation.
What's that?
People walking in the crop circle seem not to notice it, but the image is clear on tape. Until the luminous sphere starts heading quickly up into the sky and out of sight.
Can you see it moving across?
You can see it. It's like a big insect.
Oh, I can't find it now.
They are unexplained, totally. They move purposefully. They move into the crop circles. They move into the tractor tire marks as if they are observing what's there. This is not like a child's balloon that would be released on a windy day. It's as if somebody or something is remotely controlling this particular object.
Often these balls of light are seen in over fields where at the moment there is no crop circle.
Boston-based science researcher Nancy Talbot witnessed the balls of light firsthand.
When these lights are spotted at night, as they often are in England when people are out watching, hoping to see a crop circle form, they were orange, kind of soccer ball sized, and orangey. The locals called them ambler gamblers because of their amber color. They're seen just simply floating in areas where crop circles often occur.
Unable to solve the riddle of the balls of light, crop circle researchers began looking for other clues. Aerial photographs, precise measurements, even electromagnetic voltmeters were used. Scores of new visitors to crop circles began reporting strange physical effects. Some reported fully charged batteries would go dead. Video cameras would stop recording. Compasses would spin wildly. People inside circles would, at times, feel a great sense of well-being, even euphoria, while others would report headaches, confusion, and more. In 1989, Andrews and Delgado published their findings. The book was called Circular Evidence. It was a sensation. Queen Elizabeth put it on her influential summer reading list. Prince Charles asked for a private tour after crop circles were reported on land he owned. With a royal nod to the rapidly growing mystery, the raucous British tabloids knew they had a big story. One newspaper offered a £10,000 reward to anyone who could prove how crop circles were made. Speculation about an extraterrestrial circle maker soon reached a crescendo. Had a spaceship landed and left rings in the field? Were aliens coming in the night to make the crop circles? If so, what message were they sending us? What did the strange circles and the increasingly complex symbols mean?
Oh, I definitely think it's something, it's not from this Earth.
Andrews wondered if a military base near the epicenter of the crop circle appearances was secretly involved. Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher's cabinet asked Andrews to give weekly reports. And in 1990, Operation Blackbird, a high-tech crop circle surveillance project, was staged on land owned by the British Army. More than $1 million worth of equipment, paid for by the BBC and Japanese television, was set up over fields where crop circles frequently appeared. Cameras kept a 24-hour vigil.
We had seen lights which we could not easily account for early this morning, and that we were further analyzing that data.
But after 10 days of watching and waiting for a circle to form, no conclusive evidence was found.
Couldn't we all be taken for a ride on this one, though? Couldn't it be young farmers coming out of the pub with their mowers?
Not at all. Myself and Pat Delgado, the authors of the book Circular Evidence, we have been looking at this for nearly 10 years, and we have the conclusive evidence that there is no hoax whatsoever.
But the world may never know exactly what Operation Blackbird's cameras found. Colin Andrews says the British Ministry of Defence demanded live television transmissions from the crop circle surveillance area be stopped at a critical moment. The Ministry of Defence refused to comment on Andrews' allegations. After Operation Blackbird, the world was no closer to explaining the mystery of the crop circles. There were still no footprints, no tracks, and not a circle maker in sight.
The bottom line is that they're still appearing. They're still appearing. The farmers are not seeing how they're getting there. The farmers have increased their own security. They have people out looking at their land. We have observers in these areas on the hilltops, looking, waiting, observing, and still we don't see the circle makers.